25 years as a member of the ever-growing Sky Sports started with nothing but a dream. Dharmesh Sheth has reached the heights of his profession, but how did he get there? What's it like to be a part of the legendary coverage, and what do the people around him truly think of him? I've got 30 minutes with the man himself to discover the person behind the smile we see on TV.
Mate, I didn't know what this podcast was going to be about. It feels like this is your life.
Well, yeah, I watched an episode of Piers Morgan's Life Stories last night, so I thought I'd quickly put something together. Dharmesh, how are you today?
Hello, Anil. How are you doing?
I'm all good, thank you. I'm all good. To be honest with you, it's a dream come true. If I'm honest with you, well, like I said at the top, I've watched you for many years, tuning into Sky Sports News for the regular updates throughout the day. So it's maybe time to get my own update. Is that correct?
No problem. No problem.
So we'll get straight into things. And obviously, the first time we spoke was for a written article for the Mirror. And it really resonated with me, the amount of stories that you had. And that was one of the reasons why I was so desperate to get you on. So if we take it back to the start, and there was one particular story that I'd love for you to touch on to share with everyone else, which is all I'm going to say, the Wall Street Journal.
So I was doing my master's at the time, actually. This would have been in 95 to 96. So that calendar year. So sorry, not that calendar year, September 95 until September 96. And it was an MSc in media communications. And I actually thought that course was going to help me get into journalism, but stupidly, I didn't realize that it was purely theoretical, because it was an MSc, not an MA. There was no practical element in it at all. And so I ended up doing courses that I thought, I've got a good chance of passing, rather than things I thought that were going to help me get into the industry. So there was one particular course, it was a stats course. And then after the lecture, this American guy, Glenn, came up to me and he just said, look, I'm having a bit of trouble with my stat. Would you mind giving me a hand? I said, look, no problem. And when you help someone with a particular subject, it reinforces the fact that you're on the right path as well. You realize that you're understanding the topic more if you can help somebody else out. So there I was. We went to the library or something, I think, and I was just talking him through a few of the stats and stuff. And then he just said, oh, look, by the way, what are you doing your dissertation on? And I said, well, it's actually going to be on the impact, ironically now, when I look back, the impact the Sky TV football deal will have on football, on small clubs, on big clubs, that kind of thing. And he said, gosh, that's a really interesting topic. He goes, I'm a sports journalist for the Wall Street Journal. And I was like, wow, okay. He goes, yeah, I covered the 94 World Cup, etc. And I was like, blimey. And I said, you've got the dream job. And he said, you know what? The dissertation you're doing, even though it's 10,000 words, if you made it into a 1,000 word article, I think the Wall Street Journal might be interested. I'm like, shut up. And so I wrote this 1,000 word article, sent it to him. He Wall Street Journalized it, like put different titles in different places and that kind of thing. So I said, all right, fine. And he goes, look, I think they're interested and you'll get paid for the article. And I was like, that's great, but will I get a byline was what I was really after. And he said, look, I can't guarantee it because they don't usually commission pieces like this out unless it's the staff writer doing it. So I said, oh, so I was just like, right, okay, well, the money's good, but it's effectively my piece. So the next day, he calls me and he says, look, the Wall Street Journal have published it. I was like, oh my gosh. And he goes, first thing I said to him before he was about to say, look, you'll get X amount of money for it. I said, look, is my byline on it? He goes, genuinely, I don't know. But I would doubt it. He said, I'll be honest with you, I would doubt it would be. But anyway, so I called up the London office of the Wall Street Journal and the receptionist picks up the phone. And I just said, look, can you just have a quick look in the paper to see if this article's there? And they looked through and they said, yeah, this article is there. So I said, oh, great. I said, who's written it? And she said, a guy called Peter, I think it was, and Glenn Whitney, who was my mate. And I was like, is there anyone else? And she was saying, I said, is it Dharmesh Sheth? And they're like, yeah, that's right. I was like, oh my God. and got my byline in the Wall Street Journal. So I was living at home at the time, which was in Kenton in Harrow. And I knew that in Baker Street, outside the station, they had one of those kiosks where they had the overseas papers. So I got the bus from Kenton to Northwick Park. I got on the tube, went straight to Baker Street, and then just bought about 2 or 3 copies of the Wall Street Journal from that kiosk. It's just like, to this day, I would say it's up there with the biggest buzzes I've ever had, to be honest.
I remember when you first told me that story, and for a second, I forgot that we were actually doing an interview, because it was just, it was such an amazing story, because it is that, like you say, it's that dream. And, you know, you've gone on to achieve incredible things, but at that stage, nothing else mattered more. Like you said, the money, it doesn't make a difference. No. It was quite literally just to get your byline. And it honestly, it resonated with me so much. And as I say, it's led to, and it was the birth really of an incredible career within the industry, which has led to you being one of the faces for Sky Sports News, particularly with transfers. And many would say it's your bread and butter. So what's it like to be at the forefront of breaking news and emerging stories from your side of things?
Oh, I mean, I told you that I get a buzz. I got a buzz when my byline was in the Wall Street Journal. I still get that buzz now. I've been at Sky Sports News for nearly 24 years now. And even now, when you can get a story over the line, you know, you can speak to a contact, they can give you the story. You need to get it checked with the clubs that are involved. And if you don't get any like fallback from any of the clubs, and you know you can run the story and you know it's true, still to this day, honestly, I know it's just such a great buzz. I think if I never got that buzz now with those kind of stories, then I'd think, oh, maybe I'm not in the right job. But that hasn't happened yet. I've got to say that it hasn't happened yet. Particularly, I'd even say even more in the last 2 or 3 years as well, because we've started to develop our transfer coverage on Sky Sports News, where we do transfer shows twice a day for the entire window. And, you know, getting ready for those shows used to be the tricky bit. Oh my God, we need to get on air. Now, the actual difficulty is the story getting. The show actually will look after itself if you've got the stories. And so that's why that buzz is still there when you do get one.
Would you say that buzz that you get every time, seconds before going on air, seconds before you know you can reveal a story and bring an update, is that how you've maintained sort of motivation and commitment throughout your career and kept it at the top level? Is it because you always get that buzz and you feed off it at the end of the day?
Partly that, but I would also say the variety of things that I do now at Sky Sports News has helped, because I don't only just do transfers. I'm doing a bit of presenting now. I do like reporting, you know, press conferences, interviews. I do a podcast as well. So I think everything feeds into everything else. So I always, and not a vanity thing, if I ever do something that's on air, I tend to look back on what I've done and have a look at how I could have improved, what I did well, what I didn't do so well. And then it can feed into the other stuff that I do. So it gives me more confidence when I do another job. If I've done a bit of presenting shift somewhere at Sky Sports News, and then I'm doing a bit of live reporting at a game, it always feeds into it. And then, you know, then going and doing a podcast or something, I just feel more confident when I'm doing those different things, and it just seems to feed into everything else. So I would say more so than, of course, the motivation of getting stories is always there, and that has helped. But I think the variety of stories that I've been doing, I would say, has been above anything else. And the variety of things that I do at Sky Sports News above anything else has really maintained my motivation.
A common misconception really is once you will sort of achieve your goals or get to the level that you want to, you sort of take your foot off the gas a little bit. But with you, there's just no sign of that whatsoever. And for someone like yourself, who's been at Sky for nearly 25 years, which is a quarter of a century, I don't mean to make you feel old or anything like that, but you know, it's an incredible career, and to spend that length of time at any place is phenomenal. So what's it like for you on a personal level to be working at one of the biggest platforms there are in the world when it comes to sports, and considering obviously you were there where it's nowhere near where it is now? And as you've said, you know, that Sky have come on leaps and bounds with their coverage, their way of covering stories. You know, it's been phenomenal to see in my short time of following Sky News. So for you, what's it been like to start off, obviously, at Sky Sports News at a very early stage, to then see it blossom alongside your career?
Well, I've been fortunate enough to have joined when Sky Sports News wasn't even on air. So they were recruiting back in in early 1998, they were recruiting, and I managed to get an interview and managed to get a role as a sub-editor. And I was there when actual Sky Sports News actually started. So I've seen it go from the point where, you know, we might be able to do one live outside broadcast a day because we had one truck and one satellite truck, and that was it, to now where it's completely different because technology above anything else has moved on so much that, you know, the camera operators, they have equipment that they can broadcast live from in a small case, as opposed to having to have a big truck to do something. So that has changed massively. The studio and the building we were in when I started is no longer there. That's been knocked down. They built a new studio, which is state of the art. It's just looks absolutely incredible. So I would say that the changes that I've seen is probably, like I said before, when you said it keeps you motivated, that's probably another reason as well, because of how Sky Sports News has had to adapt, but also sports reporting has had to adapt, because the social media wasn't even there when Sky Sports News started. It's hard to believe that it's so central to everything we do now, but it doesn't even exist then. So that is another reason why you always, in an industry like this, you're always on your toes, because it's very, very difficult just to get lazy with it all and just to say, oh, it's the same old thing every day, because it generally isn't. Not only because of the stories, but because of how technology and how social media has moved on and how sport is reported now.
One of the main things that you are recognised for is obviously the transfers, and, you know, it's amazing, because I remember literally just this January gone, I used to finish work and straight away turn on Sky Sports News at the specific times for them transfer shows. And I absolutely love, this is slightly going off track, but the 60 seconds, I think it is, the roundup of all the teams.
Around the clubs. Yeah, it's a little bit longer than that, but it's good. It feels like 60 seconds. Yeah, it was actually about 2.5 minutes, but if it felt like 60 seconds, then we've done well.
Yeah, definitely. And that's from purely a fan perspective, you know, the way that you just fly through the clubs. And you probably can tell, I'm a Manchester United fan, and you just, even though it is, as you say, only a couple of minutes, you're just so desperate to hear what's the most important line they're going to go with. What's the selling point that they've got for the club today? And it's brilliant. And obviously you present alongside assumably a very good friend of yours, ᴊᴜ괜ᴛᴇᴜ, and you've struck an incredible partnership with him. And, you know, it has absolutely everything. And for me, what's so key in a partnership is to have a bit of everything. You have the professionalism in there, you have the banter side to it, but then you also have moments where you get into heated debates when you maybe disagree about certain things. And for a fan, as I've said, it's just perfection to watch, really, because it is, as I say, you know, you have plenty, and if I'm not mistaken, it's a minimum twice a day you're working with him in the transfer windows on air and stuff. And obviously you spend a lot of time off air with him talking about the ways you're going to present things and stuff. So you can clearly tell it shines through both of your work, how much work you do put in behind the scenes. So I just wanted to know, really, what's it like then to have such a recognizable partnership with someone, and such a prominent one as well?
Well, it hasn't been described to me as that, but thank you. Just to dispel a myth as well, we're very good friends, actually, me and ᴊᴜ괜. And I promise you that the debates that we have had on air, they've never been planned, actually, at all. We've not gone into the show to say, right, I'll argue this side, you argue that side, and then we'll have a debate. It just happened organically when we were on the program, because I might have said something that he didn't agree with, and then he pulled me up on it. And then I've done the same thing to him. We obviously do plan other stuff, like, look, I'll be talking about the Jadon Sancho transfer. Then he'll say, look, I'll come in a little bit with other stuff that's happening at United as well. So there's not just one person talking the whole time. But with regard to the off the cuff stuff, it's impossible to plan something like that, because it just wouldn't have the same impact if you try to plan an argument. It's just impossible to do it. So he's great to work with. He's a great professional. He gets amazing stories. And we work very well together because we've got contacts for stories that almost back each other and complement each other, because he might have something that he's got from one of his contacts. And then I say, look, I can check that out on this side with this person. And then it can all come together in that way. And then, so I think that's why we work well together. So look, and the shows, they've just grown. So they're really enjoyable to do, actually. I've got to give a word as well to the producer, Simon Cooper, and our two other colleagues as well, the other two producers in Josh Gardner and Ed Higgs, because there's 5 of us who basically work together for the entire transfer window. It's just a small team like that. Obviously, everyone else is contributing to stories as well from the outside, but for the actual shows themselves, we're quite a tight team there. So it's great to work in an environment like that. And yeah, it's great to work with the presenters as well, and of course with Carl there.
A lot of the stuff that you have just talked about there, people don't realize the amount of work. They think, okay, look, they're good at presenting, they've got good contacts, so they just go on air and just basically feed back the information that they have. But what I think many people don't realize is, as I say, that the hard work that goes on behind the scenes. And I think, to be honest with you, a common theme throughout all of the questions and all of the conversations that we've had is there's just this motivation, this undeniable motivation that you have. So if you could give a piece of advice to perhaps maybe a younger Dharmesh or anyone who's not necessarily just starting out in their broadcasting careers, but anyone who's chasing their dreams, what would that piece of advice be?
Best piece of advice I've ever been given. I mean, the obvious ones, work hard, be persistent. I get all of that. The 2 words I would say is contacts book. It's as simple as that. That when I first started reporting, I got the opportunity to become a reporter at Sky Sports News in 2001, in July 2001, having been there for 3 years as a sub-editor. And I remember very early on in my reporting career, I was at my desk at work and my boss walked past me, and he walked past and then he came back again and he just said, "How's it all going?" I said, yeah, just getting into it. He goes, "What's your contacts book like?" And I looked at him and went, what's that? He goes, "Right, every shoot you go to, every person you meet, just make sure you get a number from every single shoot you go to." And I was like, right, okay. And I listened to him, and I did. Every single shoot that I went to, I tried to get a number from someone. Obviously, some people will say, "No, I'm not going to give you my number," or the head of comms would say, no, you can come through the club, etc. But sometimes it did work. I'd get numbers of players, of agents, because you just never know when you'll need these numbers. And it's been so profitable for me since, because some of the people that I met 15, 20 years ago are some of my best contacts now. They still give me stories now. And they're so well connected, some of these people, that if somebody asks me, "Oh, have you got a number for," "Oh, actually, I haven't, but you know what? I reckon this guy might have." And so I can call a contact and say, "You know what? I know you don't deal with this person, but have you got a number for?" And the number of times they've come back instantly and said, "Yes, I actually have got a number."
A lot of people who I do get on the podcast, they're very successful in their own right in whatever industry in sport that they're in. And for you to say something like that, it does make a lot of sense, no matter what sort of industry or career path you're going down, to have the contacts that are going to help you. And throughout your career, you've obviously met a lot of people and you've worked with some incredible people as well, which brings me nicely onto what I wanted to show you, Dharmesh. I have made a little video for you, and just let me know what you think after the video.
Big Darms, Tom White here. I always hear on the radio and read in the newspapers, "Oh yeah, such and such is the king of transfers or queen of transfers." And I'm always thinking, well, clearly not, because Dharmesh is the king of transfers, no doubt about it. And he works his backside off to make sure that he is. And when transfer stories are going around, there's sometimes a lot of skepticism. "Oh, is that really true?" Whoever that journalist is, that is often the case. When the transfer show comes on and Dharmesh is reporting it, everybody out there knows that story is true. And then it's on the breaking news and Sky Sports News, and everybody knows that is now reliable. He is the undisputed king of transfers, in my opinion, and he deserves it because of all the hard work he does. and he is an inspiration to a lot of young journalists out there because he is proof that if you work hard, you will get those rewards.
Listen, that's the latest transfer news, mate. What do you reckon? All right, well, yeah, not that impressed. Listen, what can we say about this fella? Absolutely first class in the studio, absolutely first class on the road. When he's looking at that mobile phone, you can tell that he's actually looking at some really important information from top contacts, and then coolly and calmly delivers that information. But it's not just transfers, it's his knowledge of journalism, writing, live performing, football, sport. Just, I've seen him develop so much over the years, and now, you know, when he's in that studio, particularly during the transfers, he's the one that you look to, not those others around him, not the presenters, not his oppo. A cheer there in the background from Jackson the dog. He is the man who knows exactly what's going on. So yeah, Carve, good luck today with the podcast, and see you soon.
Hey Dharmesh, I'd love to echo what everyone else has said about the glowing praise of you. You've made me feel so welcome on my very first day at Sky, and you made it so easy to work beside you the whole way through. The best thing I can say about you, pal, is you make the work fun. So keep doing what you do and stay frosty. Love, Hush.
Legend. Absolute legend. Proud to say one of my closest friends, one of my biggest supporters in my career, and obviously he's a colleague of mine, and he's one of the very, very best. He's always been there for me on a personal and professional level, and he's always caring, and he always remembers my birthday, and he remembers everybody else's birthday. He's just a top guy, one of the most entertaining people I know as well. But his loyalty is much more important than anything work-wise. He's just a truly great person and a good friend.
Take me through how that feels to know that people that you've had the pleasure to work with all them years. How does that feel from your point of view?
I was not expecting that, mate. That is, wow, that's I don't know what to say, man. I'm unbelievable. I've got to pay them now, don't I?
No, don't worry at all, mate. I contacted all of them individually, and as soon as they found out that you were the next guest, they were all more than happy to help. I got all the videos within a matter of minutes from all of them because they were just so eager to just show that little bit of love and respect for you, Dharmesh. And to be honest with you, it's what everyone thinks. It's what everyone thinks of you, and it's what everyone knows about you. Your hard work, honesty, and integrity really shines through your work. And it takes me nicely on actually just to another thing really that I collated in the prep for this interview. So obviously I went to university and I met a lot of wonderful people who obviously are into sports. And I told one of my friends, one of my very good friends, his name's James Todd, that I will be interviewing you in the coming days. And he said to me, will it be okay if I just send him a message? And I said, yeah, of course. As long as it's not anything horrible, then we can, then we can get it done. So this is what he said. And this is from just to someone who's watched your career throughout the years. Dear Dharmesh, for many years, as I was a schoolboy, I've watched you at Sky Sports News and followed your career so much that it acted as a form of inspiration to do a sports journalism course myself at university. Your commitment, enthusiasm, and professionalism shines through every time I switch on the TV. Your regular shows alongside Carve are some of the most enjoyable transfer content I think we will ever see. Please never give up what you're doing. Through your hard work, you've inspired thousands of people, including myself. For all of that, all I could ever say to you is thank you.
Wow, mate, I didn't know what this podcast was going to be about. It feels like this is your life.
Well, yeah, I watched an episode of Piers Morgan's life stories last night, so I thought I'd quickly put some together. But no, in all seriousness, you know, I just wanted to really get, you know, and you'll do hundreds of podcasts. You'll have plenty of interviews where you're the interviewer or you're the interviewee. But I just really wanted to.
I prefer that.
I can imagine so. But you know, I just really wanted to emphasize how much your work means to not only your colleagues but also your supporters and fans wherever they may be. And for that, all I could say as well, like the letter did, and like many of the people who I've spoke to about you, we could all just say thank you to you for your hard work and your inspiration to many. And I just wanted to finish on one final question, which I like to ask my guests at the end of every podcast. Are you happy? Are you genuinely happy? Not only with your job, but your life? Has everything that you wanted to achieve all fell into place? And as I say, are you genuinely happy?
I am generally happy, yes. You're always striving for more at work, in your personal life. But listen, I can't complain at all, mate. I can't complain at all.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. Unfortunately, that wraps things up. All I can say, obviously, is not only for your career, but also for your time today. I know you're a very busy man. Thanks a lot. Best of luck with the rest of your career, whatever it may hold, which something tells me is still a big future left to come for Mr. Sheth. Thanks a lot. And as I say, best of luck with everything.
Thank you, Anil. Thank you so much.
Well, unfortunately, that's all we have time for. A massive thank you to Dharmesh, but everyone who's watched wherever you may be. For more content, please subscribe and like and do whatever you need to do with all the social medias. For more content, buy the content. Thank you very much. And always remember, the next podcast is never too far away.